Hey guys, it's Nicole, and for breakfast on this day, I started with an apple. And then a little bit later on, I had my actual breakfast, which was some pumpkin chocolate chip muffins. These are pumpkin muffins that are kind of like pumpkin bread, and they have little mini vegan chocolate chips all throughout. I like to use the Enjoy Life brand for a lot of baking because they're really good and all vegan, and I like that they're mini, so you get like a little tiny bit of chocolate in each bite. And these are flavored with a little bit of cinnamon, some ginger, some clove, and nutmeg. They're really, really good. This batch was actually a little bit smaller than the recipe that you will see on my channel next week. But when you're recipe testing, you end up having a lot of different versions hanging around, hence why I had muffins already ready to go for breakfast, and I didn't have to bake them. But I topped this with some almond milk yogurt, some almond butter, a little bit of pumpkin granola, and some pumpkin pie spice because why the heck not? And you guys, this was so good. I warmed up the muffins in the microwave so they tasted like they were freshly baked again. And with the almond butter on top and the little chocolate chips kind of melting all throughout, it was so good, so decadent. And I love the crunch from the pumpkin spice granola on top too. 10 out of 10 recommend, and stay tuned for the recipe. It'll be on my channel next week.
Hey guys, it's NISHA. So for breakfast, I know this isn't really autumnal, but this is what I ate. I had some sourdough toast with some of the season's last nice tomatoes, and I added this Miyoko's oat milk garlic parm butter. It's like garlic bread in a tub. It's magical, and I just make sure to get the butter to all the edges. So I just slathered that on over my toast, and then I topped it with my sliced tomatoes. You can see I ran out of my red ones, so I added some sun golds. Then I topped it with a little salt, pepper, and Follow Your Heart vegan Parmesan. And this is one of my favorite breakfasts ever. I'm sure I've showed you tomato toast before. I usually want something salty when I wake up, and when I do, I try to make this. And to go with that, for a little spicy autumnal fall taste, I made my Masala Chai. The recipe is on my IGTV. I'll link it down below. And I wanted to make it a pumpkin Masala Chai, but... Okay, I'm sitting down with my chai. I went to 4 grocery stores, 4, to get canned pumpkin puree. They were all out, and I really wanted to make a pumpkin masala chai using my chai recipe. I couldn't find it anywhere, but you can just add a couple teaspoons to a tablespoon of canned pumpkin puree, and it's supposed to just taste like this pumpkin pie, but with all the chai spices. So let's just pretend, okay? So good. Anyways, I feel like chai alone is autumnal enough. But yes, try my recipe. If you're having a bad day or you have an anxiety stomach ache, make a masala chai. It hits so different than the concentrates you can buy at the store. It is my life mission to get people on the real masala chai instead of the chai tea latte garbage. It's my life mission. We gotta do it. It's worth it. I'm so disappointed that all I had for you guys this morning was toast and chai. But you know what? It's 2020, we're loving ourselves, we're accepting imperfection. But on a positive note, I have some sweet potato pad thai coming for you, very autumnal, and Jessie and I had this gorgeous idea to make a traditional British roast, like a la Zoella, but vegan. And we're just gonna make a big to-do about it, and then we're gonna watch a movie while having our delicious big feast roast tonight. Stay tuned. Back to the other girls. Cheers. I can tell that pumpkin would be really good in this. It would add another bright, delicious flavor. Anyways, bye.
I'm gonna show you how to make this apple pie spice smoothie. The first time I made it, it was a little too liquidy, so I'm going to attempt it one more time. Okay, I'm gonna start with almond milk. I'm gonna put about a cup in. And I'm taking some rolled oats. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons. And I'm just gonna let it sit here for a little because last time I didn't do this and I feel like that's why it wasn't as thick. All right, now I'm gonna add 1 apple, and I just sliced it so it'll be easier to blend. I mean, I didn't slice it, I used this thingy. All right, now I'm gonna add half of a frozen banana. Gonna add some dates. Add 3 dates. Do a tablespoon of cashew butter. Do a little bit of this vanilla flavoring, probably like a half a teaspoon. A little bit of salt. A good amount of cinnamon. I feel like that's what helps give it that apple pie taste. And that looks pretty good. And I feel like that's gonna be thick, so let's blend it up and see. It's definitely a little thicker, but still not as thick as I normally have smoothies. I think that's just because there's not that much frozen food in here, and that's usually what makes things thick. So yeah, that's what it looks like. And then I'm gonna add a little cinnamon on top to make it pretty. All right, let's see how it tastes. Pretty darn good.
Hey guys, it's Nicole again, and for lunch on this day, I had what has become my favorite lunch ever. It's definitely the best thing I ate all week, and it was super easy. So you may know that we love the pumpkin simmer sauce from Trader Joe's. So on this day, I just added a little water to the jar so that I got every last bit of it because it was almost gone. And I poured that into a bowl along with some chickpeas just straight from a can and some frozen veggies. On this day, I went for peas and cauliflower. Then I mixed this all together with an unnecessarily large spoon and popped this in the microwave just to warm it up and to cook the veggies a little bit. And then I took a huge flour tortilla and I spread a little bit of vegan yogurt, or you could do vegan sour cream. And then I put a little bit of mango chutney down. And then I topped that with the warm chickpeas with the simmer sauce. And this simmer sauce has a little bit of garlic and ginger and spices, but a tiny little hint of like pumpkin-y nutmegginess as well. So it's a very fall inspired simmer sauce. And when you put it in this toasted is key, toasted flour tortilla with, the mango chutney and the yogurt and some greens, it is unreal. It's I don't even know how to explain it. It's so good. I put a little bit more of this sauce on top, as well as some red onion just for like freshness and a little bit of a bite, and then some cilantro as well. This is so good. Please make it, because I have been absolutely obsessed with it recently, and it is so flavorful. Remember to toast up the tortilla in a nonstick pan before you serve it. It only takes a couple of minutes, and it really is a game changer.
Hey everyone, it's NISHA. So for lunch, I had this bowl of roasted sweet potatoes and vegan pad thai. This is just a microwaved brand. I'll show in a second, but I added some sesame seeds, some spring onions, and I only used half of the sauce packet and added some soy sauce instead, so it wasn't as sweet. And I thought it was decent. It wasn't my favorite pad thai I've ever had, but it was good in a pinch. So the pad thai is actually Annie Chun's vegan pad thai. You can make in the microwave, and it's a really fast thing to throw together if you've already meal prepped some sweet potato.
Hey, it's Hannah. So for lunch, I'm making this autumn ingredient salad, and it's actually a copycat recipe from True Food, which is a restaurant out here, and I love it so much. So I'm just starting with some prepped veggies. I've got Brussels sprouts, butternut squash, and cauliflower. So you just want to chop those up into bite-sized pieces, and then you're going to add them to a pan, drizzle them with some olive oil, toss that around, and then you're going to add some salt and pepper. And then you're gonna put it in the oven to broil actually for about 15 minutes. And of course you wanna keep an eye on it because you don't want it to burn. Then I'm gonna make this sauce. So I'm starting with a tablespoon of horseradish and then 2 tablespoons of this champagne vinegar, and then a clove of garlic. You could always add more. And then a pinch of crushed red pepper, some salt, and then some olive oil. And I did about 1/4 cup, but I would probably do less next time just because I felt like the oil kind of overpowered the vinegar and the horseradish. I ended up adding a little bit more vinegar at the end. And then you just mix that all up. Once the veggies are done, you add them to a bowl, add some drained cannellini beans, as well as some pomegranate seeds. And the dish that's at the restaurant actually has dried mulberries, but I couldn't find any. But if you can find some and add them to the salad, it is next level good. and I just drizzled on the dressing, and this salad is so good. You can either eat it like this where it's warm, or you can put it in the fridge and eat it cold or heat it up the next day, however you like it. I've had it both ways and it's so good.
Hey guys, it's Nicole again, and for dinner on this day, I was so excited because it was the first delicata squash I've had of the season, and this is absolutely my favorite squash. I love it because you can actually eat the skin as long as you kind of let it roast and get all nice and tender. And what I like to do is actually add my oil, a little bit of maple syrup, and some cayenne pepper. It just like caramelizes around the squash. It adds so much flavor, but then you have some sea salt and a little bit of kick from the cayenne, so it is like the best combination. And you can really do this with any squash, pumpkin, or even carrots or sweet potatoes. It would be delicious. So that is how I prepared the actual squash. And then for the potatoes, I went ahead and I added some steak seasoning, and despite the name, it's not just for steak, it's really good on vegetables. It's a mix of coarse salt and onion and garlic with some rosemary, thyme, and red pepper flakes, black pepper. It's delicious. While the veggies were in the oven, I decided to make a pumpkin vinaigrette, and all of the measurements for this will be in the description box. But it starts with some canned pumpkin, and I add some Dijon for depth, a bit of sriracha for kick, some maple syrup for sweetness and just to kind of balance out the savory flavors, as well as some apple cider vinegar for tang. And then I usually add more olive oil than this, but I was really pitifully low on olive oil on this day, so I was kind of trying to get every last bit, but the olive oil is just going to add some silkiness and texture. And then I season with salt, black pepper, and some nutmeg. It's just a pinch of nutmeg, but it really does add a bit of fall inspired flavors to this without it being overpowering. And this is kind of a sweet and tangy, spicy fall dressing. I don't know how else to explain it other than that. I feel like it's kind of all the things I love about a creamy dressing in one. I like a little sweet and savory, I like a little spicy tangy, and this really has all of that, and it has a really beautiful consistency that is so good on all kinds of salad. I will make sure that all of the measurements are in the description box below for you. But then all I had to do was assemble my salad, so I started with a base of greens. On this day it was arugula. And then I did my roasted potatoes. I added the squash, which as you can see kind of caramelized on the outside. It gets really tender and so flavorful. If you did want to remove the skin from the potatoes or from the squash, it's actually a lot easier to do once they're cooked instead of peeling them when they're raw. So sometimes I do that just depending on my mood. I added my roasted caramelized onions, a big handful of chickpeas since I had them on hand from earlier, and then a salad is all about contrast. So we have the hot cold going on, we have the creamy crunchy, but we needed more crunchy, so I added some sunflower seeds. Pecans would be absolutely perfect in this, as well as some pumpkin seeds. Sometimes I'll actually roast the seeds from the squash, but I didn't on this day. And then I like to add cranberries, dried cherries, raisins, or pomegranate seeds, or kind of a mixture of all of them, but you want something kind of sweet and chewy to balance out all of the other flavors and textures that we have going on in the bowl. Then I drizzled on my dressing and added lots and lots of black pepper on top. I finished this with one of my favorite vegan Parmesan cheeses from BioLife. I just used a regular veggie peeler to kind of get really thin slices on top. And this was so good. The squash is definitely my favorite part. I eat this all autumn long, as well as the roasted potatoes with the kind of salty bite from the Parmesan and the sweet and tangy pumpkin dressing and that little pop of sweetness from the dried raisins and cranberries. You guys, it is so good. I cannot wait for you to try it. The recipe is in the description box below.
For dinner, we did a big roast dinner. This includes so many of my old recipes. I'll link all of them down below. The broccolini and the Brussels sprouts, I did the vegan chicken seasoning, and then all the rainbow carrots I was trying to show off for you guys. So I got the rainbow carrots. Those are in a balsamic garlic glaze. Then we also did these roasted peewee potatoes, and these are so good. If you see them at the market, you gotta try them. I tossed those with olive oil, rosemary, salt, garlic powder, and nutritional yeast to make them get this nice crispy outer layer. They were life-changing, brought me back to life. I also made my golden gravy. This is a really good dupe for a meat drippings gravy if you want one. Then I roasted up some of the Beyond Meat sausage on my grill pan until it got nice crispy char on each side. We also threw in some of my lentil pies I have a recipe for on my channel, and this is what it ended up looking like. And then we just slathered gravy gravy all over it. It was very seasonal and delicious, and a very hearty autumnal meal.
Hello again. It's time for dinner, and I really wanted pasta, and I had something in my mind of like a pumpkin-y type pasta. I have no idea if this is gonna work, but I picked up some gnocchi and some pumpkin and some tomato sauce. I'm gonna try to make like a pumpkin-y marinara. I don't know how this is gonna work because to me, pumpkin doesn't really taste like much unless it's like that strong pumpkin spice flavor, so it might not even taste like anything. But my hope is that it tastes like a really yummy fall cozy dinner, so let's try it out. All right, so I am starting out by chopping up a shallot, and then I'm adding that to a pan with a little bit of olive oil as well as some minced garlic. And I did one very, very large clove of garlic, but you know, if you want to do more, you go for it. And then I'm just going to cook those until they are soft and translucent. And then I added a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and a 1/4 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. And then I'm adding the canned tomato sauce, which I actually love this stuff. I was looking for crushed tomatoes, but this is so much better because then I don't have to blend it. And then 1 can of pureed pumpkin, and then just mixing that together. And I'm going to let that simmer for about 5 minutes until it's nice and hot and heated all the way through. And while the sauce is cooking, I brought some water to a boil. I'm adding the gnocchi, and then in a separate pan, I'm adding a little bit of olive oil and this field roast Italian sausage, and I'm just crumbling it into the pan. You could also do slices. I think that would be really good if you wanted some more texture. And then I'm just letting that brown up really nice. Once the gnocchi has floated to the top, then it is ready to be drained. And I decided to add a tablespoon of vinegar to the sauce to just give it some brightness and tang. And the sauce is pretty much done. So then I'm adding the gnocchi to the sausage, then I'm pouring some of the sauce on top, and I had so much extra sauce, which is amazing because I'm going to use it this week for other dinners. And then I'm just stirring it up, adding some spinach and waiting till the spinach wilts. And you want to make sure you do this off heat because the gnocchi and the sausage are already cooked and it's already hot, so it will wilt the spinach without any added heat. And there you have it. I just added it to a plate. It looks so beautiful. I love gnocchi so much. It is one of my favorite foods in the entire world. All right, I'm gonna try it. Smells good. Cheers. Okay, that is really freaking good. As I was making it, I was thinking I should have done the apple sage, I think is what it's called, the other sausage that's a little more like fall flavored, but still really good. Yay, bye.